The year is 1081. The Byzantine Empire, once a beacon of power and culture, is now teetering on the brink of collapse. The Byzantine Empire is in big trouble. Its borders are shrinking and its cities are under constant threat. Enemies are closing in like vultures circling a wounded animal. The empire's enemies sense its weakness and are eager to exploit it. From the east, the Seljuk Turks are taking over land that used to belong to the Romans. They are relentless and powerful, pushing ever closer to the heart of the empire. From the west, Norman adventurers want Byzantium's riches. They see an opportunity to carve out their own territories from the empire's remains. The empire has no money. The army is weak. The once mighty Byzantine military is now a shadow of its former self, poorly equipped and demoralized. Could this be the end for the empire of Constantine the Great, an empire that had lasted for 1,000 years? The legacy of centuries hangs in the balance. At this dangerous time, a new emperor takes charge. The empire's fate now rests on his shoulders. His name is Alexios I Komnenos. He is a man of vision and determination. He's a smart general and a clever politician. Alexios understands the complexities of both warfare and diplomacy. He's a man of action, a man who isn't afraid to make tough choices. He knows that only bold decisions can save the empire. He's exactly what Byzantium needs, a leader who can inspire hope and rally the people. He becomes emperor when the empire is almost falling apart, surrounded by enemies. The challenges he faces are immense, but Alexios is determined to make things better. He begins to implement strategic changes, both militarily and politically. He will lead his empire through a very difficult time and into a new golden age. Under his leadership, Byzantium will rise again. Imagine a huge empire stretching from the Adriatic Sea to the mountains of Armenia. This was the Byzantine Empire at its strongest, a center of learning and Christianity in the Middle Ages. For centuries, Constantinople, its capital, was the most amazing city in Europe. Its emperors lived in a palace that was a wonder of art and architecture. But by the 11th century, the empire was much weaker. Bad emperors and expensive wars had used up its resources. The once powerful army was smaller, filled with hired soldiers who weren't always loyal. The empire was surrounded by enemies and it might not survive. The empire needed a strong leader, an emperor who could bring back order and protect its borders. It needed Alexios Komnenos. To understand the problems Alexios faced, we need to go back in time to an era where the Byzantine Empire was a beacon of civilization. The Byzantine Empire was the eastern part of the Roman Empire, lasting long after Rome itself fell. It was a continuation of Roman governance, culture and traditions, but with its own unique identity. It was a mix of Roman, Greek and Christian traditions, a place where different cultures blended together. This fusion created a rich tapestry of art, literature and philosophy that influenced the world for centuries. The Byzantine Empire kept ancient knowledge alive and encouraged new art. Scholars and artists thrived, producing works that would be admired for generations. The Byzantines believed they were carrying on the legacy of Rome, protecting Christianity from the growing power of Islam. They saw themselves as the defenders of the true faith, standing against the tide of change. But centuries of fighting had weakened the empire. Continuous wars drained their resources and sapped their strength, leaving them vulnerable to new threats. Enemies attacked from all sides. The empire's borders were constantly under siege, and its defenses were stretched thin. In the east, the Seljuk Turks, who had recently become Muslims, were taking over the empire's eastern lands. Their rapid expansion posed a significant threat to Byzantine control. In the west, the Normans, Vikings who had settled in France, were a constant threat to Byzantine territories in Italy. Their relentless incursions added to the empire's woes. The empire was getting smaller, its resources running low. Economic hardships and internal strife further weakened its ability to defend itself. It was time for a leader like Alexios, a man who could change everything. His vision and determination were the empire's last hope for revival and survival. Alexios Komnenos knew about power. He understood its allure, its responsibilities, and its dangers. From a young age, he was groomed to appreciate the weight of leadership. He was born into a powerful military family, the Komnenoi, who had a long history of serving the empire. This lineage was not just a matter of pride, but a call to duty, a legacy that demanded excellence. As a boy, Alexios was a good soldier and a smart strategist. His early years were filled with rigorous training, both physical and mental, preparing him for the challenges ahead. He quickly moved up in the army, becoming known for his bravery, intelligence, and ambition. His rise was meteoric, a testament to his skills and determination. But Alexios wanted more than just being a soldier. He had a vision for the empire, a vision that extended beyond the battlefield. He wanted to be the emperor of Byzantium. He believed he could restore the empire to its former glory, and he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve that goal. In 1081, he got his chance. The political landscape was ripe for change, and Alexios seized the opportunity with both hands. The Byzantine Empire was a mess. Years of mismanagement and internal strife had left it weakened and vulnerable. The Emperor Nikephoros III Botaniates was weak and nobody liked him. His reign was marked by indecision and a lack of vision, making him deeply unpopular. Alexios, with help from his family and the army, took over without any fighting. It was a bloodless coup, a testament to his strategic brilliance and the loyalty he commanded. He became Emperor Alexios I Komnenos, the first of the Komnenian dynasty. His coronation marked the beginning of a new era for Byzantium. He was only 33 years old. Despite his youth, he carried the weight of the empire on his shoulders with a maturity beyond his years. He became emperor of an empire in crisis, but he also inherited the legacy of his family, a legacy of courage, resilience, and a will to win no matter what. This legacy would be his guiding light in the turbulent years to come. The Lion of Komnenos was ready to roar. With a fierce determination and a clear vision, Alexios I Komnenos set out to restore the glory of the Byzantine Empire. One of Alexios's biggest problems was the Norman invasion led by Robert Guiscard, the scary Duke of Apulia. The Normans were tough fighters, their heavily armored cavalry terrifying their enemies. Alexios knew he couldn't defeat the Normans in a direct fight, not yet. He needed time to rebuild the Byzantine army, so he used diplomacy, offering bribes, making promises, and using threats to slow the Normans down. He stalled for time, knowing his best troops were coming. The Varangian Guard, the emperor's elite bodyguards, were famous for their loyalty and fierceness in battle. They were mostly Norse warriors, Vikings who had traveled south to seek their fortune. These giant, axe-wielding warriors were legendary, and they were completely loyal to the emperor. With the Varangians, Alexios was ready to face Robert Guiscard and his Norman knights. While Alexios was fighting the Normans in the west, a new danger appeared in the east. The Seljuk Turks had already taken lots of Byzantine land, and they weren't stopping. The Byzantine Empire desperately needed help, so Alexios made a big decision. He sent messengers to the Pope in Rome, asking for soldiers to fight the Turks. This request would change history. It led to the First Crusade. Alexios's relationship with the Crusaders was complicated and often tense. He saw them as a useful tool to get back lost land, but he was also worried about what they might do. He had hoped to use the Crusaders like hired soldiers, but they had their own plans. They didn't just want to fight the Turks, they also wanted to take back Jerusalem, the holy city of Christianity, for themselves. With the immediate dangers under control, Alexios could focus on rebuilding his empire. He knew that military strength wasn't enough. He needed to fix the empire's money problems, its weak government, and the loss of the emperor's authority. Alexios was a smart administrator and a skilled general. He made changes to fix the empire's finances, strengthen the government, and rebuild the army, making it more efficient and professional. He also knew the navy was important for protecting the Byzantine Empire, which had long coastlines. He made the Byzantine fleet bigger and better, so it could fight against the growing naval power of the Italian city-states, especially Venice. Alexios's reign wasn't perfect. To pay for his wars and reforms, he sometimes did extreme things. He made the Byzantine money less valuable, causing prices to go up. He took property from the church, making the powerful clergy angry. He made deals with the Crusaders that many of his people thought were bad for the empire. Some people said he was too ruthless, too willing to sacrifice the empire's future for quick gains. Others didn't like his use of diplomacy and sneaky tactics, saying a real emperor should win battles on the battlefield, not at the negotiating table. But Alexios was practical, not idealistic. He knew he had to make tough choices. He did what he thought was necessary to save the Byzantine Empire, and in the end, That's what mattered most. Alexios I Komnenos died in 1118 after ruling for 37 years. He had inherited an empire that was falling apart, and he left it stable and safe. He had fought off invaders, controlled the Crusaders, and set the stage for a time of prosperity. He had revived the Byzantine Empire, but at what cost? That's what historians still debate. Was he a ruthless pragmatist who saved the empire by any means necessary? Or was he a visionary leader who brought back Byzantium's glory? Maybe he was a little of both. One thing is sure. Alexios Komnenos was one of the most important rulers in Byzantine history, a man who changed his empire in the course of medieval history. His legacy was the survival of the Byzantine Empire, an empire that would continue to be important in Europe and the Middle East for centuries to come.